My name is Ifunanya Okoye. When I left Nigeria 10 years ago, I told myself I would never come back. I had too many memories I didn't want to face. But when I saw the message about St. Gabriel's secondary school reunion, something in my heart said, go home. Maybe I wanted to show them that I made it. Maybe I wanted to see her again. I still remember the first day I met Mrs. Amaka. I was only 15, and my father used to beat me for every small thing. I would come to school with red eyes and a shaky voice. She was the only one who noticed. She would call me after class and ask if I had eaten. Sometimes she would put money in my hand and tell me not to tell anyone. I used to think she was an angel. She changed my life. But she also changed it in a way that never allowed me to forget her. When I landed in Enugu, I stayed in a hotel for 2 nights. I didn't want to go straight to the school. I walked around the streets, smelling roasted corn, hearing the noise of keiki horns, the same life I left behind. Everything felt smaller than I remembered. On the day of the reunion, I wore a simple white dress. I didn't want to look like I was showing off, but I wanted her to see that I had done well. When I entered the school hall, old classmates shouted my name. Some hugged me, some screamed in surprise. But my eyes were searching for only one person. She stood near the stage, arranging the chairs with other teachers. She looked almost the same, maybe just older, with small lines around her eyes. When our eyes met, my heart started to beat fast. She froze for a second, then smiled, but her smile was tight. Not the smile I remembered. I walked to her slowly. She called my name like it hurt her to say it. I laughed and said I could not believe she was still here teaching. She said she could not believe I came. Then there was silence between us. Like two people standing at the edge of something they both remembered but did not want to talk about. The party started. People danced, teachers gave speeches, everyone was laughing. But when I was asked to give a toast, I looked at her again. I said something simple, but I saw her eyes change. I said, "We thank all our teachers who taught us lessons in class, and even those who taught us silence." People clapped and laughed, thinking it was just a clever line. But she knew what I meant. That night after the reunion, I sat by my hotel window and watched the rain fall. My chest was heavy. I told myself I did not come to fight her. I only wanted her to remember, to face what she made me carry all these years. But deep inside me, I knew I had started something I could not stop. The next morning, I woke up early and went to the school gate. The security man did not recognize me, but when I told him my name, he smiled and said he remembered me as the girl who used to cry every Monday morning. That made me laugh small, but inside my chest, something pinched me. When I entered the compound, I saw the same old classrooms, the same mango tree where students still gathered to gist. Some of the walls were freshly painted, yes, but the smell of chalk and dust was still the same. I stood by the window of my old classroom and saw a girl sitting alone at the back, holding her head like she wanted to disappear. I remembered myself in that same position years ago. Before I left the school that morning, I met some of the teachers. They were happy to see me, asking what I do abroad, if I was married, if I had children. I answered all their questions and smiled, but I noticed they were looking at me with small curiosity. I knew word had already reached them that I made a strange toast last night. People in Nigeria love stories, and they don't rest until they find the full gist. In the afternoon, I went to Mrs. Amaka's house. I did not plan it. My legs just carried me there. Her compound still looked the same. The flowers she loved were still growing at the gate. Her daughter, Chidinma, opened the door. She looked like her mother when she was younger, the same bright eyes and neat way of speaking. She welcomed me happily. Her mother was not home yet, so she asked me to wait. We sat in the sitting room, and I looked at all the family pictures on the wall. One picture made my hand shake. It was Mrs. Amaka holding Chidinma as a baby, and behind them was the same couch where I once sat, crying the night everything changed. When Mrs. Amaka came back, she stopped when she saw me. The smile on her face was weak. She asked how long I had been waiting. I told her not long. She asked what I came for. I told her I just wanted to see her family. She looked at me quietly and then told Chidinma to bring juice for me. The air between us was heavy. She tried to talk about small things, how proud she was of me, how well I turned out, but I could see the fear in her eyes. She did not want her daughter to hear anything. I smiled and told her that some truths don't stay buried forever. She froze and looked at me like I had touched fire. When I left the house, I saw Chidinma standing at the balcony, looking confused. I knew she had noticed something. I told myself I would not drag the past into her life, but as I walked away, I knew the secret had already started to move again, like a wound that had opened after many years. 2 days later, I went back to the school again. This time, I was not smiling or pretending. I went there because I wanted to see her. I wanted her to look me in the eye and remember everything clearly. When I entered the staff room, the noise went down small. Some of the teachers greeted me warmly, but others just looked at me with that kind of smile that hides questions. I asked one of them where Mrs. Amaka was. They said she was in class teaching literature. I walked down the corridor and stood by the door. She was writing something on the board, her voice firm and calm as always. The students were quiet, taking notes. She did not see me at first, but when she turned, the chalk slipped from her hand. The class turned to look, and she quickly bent to pick it, pretending it was nothing. I smiled and walked away. I knew I had shaken her. That evening, she came to my hotel. I was not expecting her, but I was not surprised. She stood at the door, her face tight with anger and fear mixed together. She asked me what I was trying to do. I told her I wanted peace, but peace cannot live where lies are still breathing. She told me to leave her family out of it. I told her I did not come for them. I came for her truth. Her voice began to shake. She said she made a mistake long ago, that she was only trying to help me survive. I reminded her that the scholarship she gave me was not mine, that another girl's dream was destroyed because of her decision. She covered her face with her hands. I could see that she was breaking inside. I told her I had all the letters and the forms she helped me forge. She begged me to let it rest, that her husband did not know, that her daughter was too young to carry such shame. After she left, I sat on the bed and cried. I was not sure if I wanted to destroy her or save her. My heart was not clean either. She had done wrong, but I had also built my life from that wrong. The scholarship she gave me opened the door that changed my life. But every time I looked in the mirror, I saw that frightened girl who trusted her teacher too much. The next morning, I saw Chidinma waiting for me outside the hotel. She said her mother had been acting strange since I came. She wanted to know what was going on. I told her it was nothing serious, but she did not believe me. She said her mother cried all night. Her voice was shaking as she asked if I was trying to hurt their family. I told her I was not, but deep down, I was not sure anymore. When she left, I realized the whisper had already started to spread. Someone must have heard us the night before. I saw the way people were looking at me on the street, with curiosity and hidden laughter. The secret that had been sleeping for years was now stretching and waking up. There was no going back. By the third week after the reunion, the story was no longer a whisper. It had become a storm that moved from house to house, mouth to mouth, until even people who did not know us began to talk about it. They said Mrs. Amaka forged school records to help a student travel abroad, that she betrayed another student who lost her chance. Some even said there was more to it, something dirty, something hidden between teacher and student. Nobody knew the full story, but everyone wanted to add their own salt. I tried to stay calm, but my phone would not stop ringing. Old classmates were calling, some pretending to check on me, others just wanting to hear my side. I did not tell them anything. The truth was heavy in my chest, and no matter how I tried to hold it, it kept spilling out in my eyes, in my silence, in my tired face. One afternoon, I went to the market to buy foodstuff. I saw two women pointing at me and whispering. One of them said, "So this is the girl that wants to destroy her teacher's life." I wanted to shout that they didn't know what really happened, but I kept quiet. The guilt inside me was already loud enough. That evening, I heard that the school had called an emergency meeting. Parents were complaining, the board was worried, and the principal said the school's name was being dragged in the mud. When I reached home later that night, my phone buzzed again. It was a message from Chidinma. She said her father had found out everything. He was shouting and packing his things. Her mother had locked herself in the room and refused to come out. I sat on the floor and held my head. I had wanted her to face the truth, but I did not want to destroy her home. I remembered the night long ago when I ran to her house after my father beat me. I had blood on my face, and she was the only person who opened her door to me. She cleaned my wounds, gave me food, and told me I would be fine. That night, she became more than a teacher to me. She became my safe place. But the same night was also the beginning of everything that went wrong. The next day, I went to the school. The compound was quiet, but I could feel the tension in the air. When I entered the office, the principal and some teachers were already there. Mrs. Amaka sat in the corner, her eyes swollen from crying. She looked at me once and then looked away. The principal said they had to suspend her until the truth was clear. She nodded without argument. After the meeting, she followed me outside. She told me softly that she was tired of hiding, that maybe it was time the truth came out no matter how it ended. I wanted to speak, but no words came out. She looked at me with eyes that carried both love and pain. Then she walked away slowly, her shoulders bent like someone carrying a heavy stone. That night, rain fell again, just like the night I left her house many years ago. I watched it through the window and realized that once truth starts moving, nobody can stop where it will reach. The storm had started, and it was now sweeping both of us together. Days passed, and everything around me felt heavy. The news of her suspension was everywhere. Some said she was finished, that her teaching license would be taken away. Others said she should be forgiven because she had helped many students in the past. The town was divided, but one thing was clear. Her name no longer carried the same pride it once did. I did not feel victorious. Every morning when I woke up, I felt a hole inside me. I had waited years to free myself from that secret, but now that it was out, I felt smaller, lonelier. I wanted to see her, but I did not know what to say anymore. One evening, I finally gathered myself and went to her house. The compound was quiet. The flowers she loved had started to dry up. When I knocked, it was Chidinma who opened the door. Her eyes were red. She told me her father had gone to stay with his brother, that her mother had not eaten since morning. I wanted to leave, but Chidinma begged me to go in. Inside, Mrs. Amaka was sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. There were papers on the table, letters from the school, and her resignation already written. When she saw me, she did not speak. I sat down beside her and told her I never wanted things to go this far. She nodded slowly, still staring ahead. She said she was wrong, that she thought helping me forge those papers would save me. She said she believed she could cover it forever, but secrets are like smoke. They always find a way out. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were empty. She said she would accept whatever came, that maybe losing everything was her punishment. I wanted to tell her that I forgave her, but my throat felt tight. After a while, she turned to me and said something I will never forget. She said I should not let pain be the only thing I remember about her, that she had loved me in the only way she knew how, even though it was wrong. I cried then, not because of what she said, but because I knew she meant it. When I left her house that night, the sky was clear. For the first time in weeks, there was no rain, no thunder. The air felt still. The next morning, news spread that she had resigned and left town quietly before sunrise. Nobody knew where she went. The school brought in a new teacher, young and eager. Weeks later, I visited the school one last time. I stood by the empty classroom where she used to teach and touched the desk where her name was still written. I realized that even though she was gone, her presence still lived there, in the books, in the walls, in the students who still spoke her name softly. I did not destroy her. The truth did. But the truth also set me free. I walked out of the school gate that day with tears on my face and peace in my heart. The sun was hot, the road dusty, but for the first time since I came back, I was ready to go home.